Hi guys, welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast about playing video games and drinking excellent craft beer. I'm Ben and Aadil, and I'm joined this week by Aadil Kurji.
Hello.
Hey dude. We're not joined by Alex this week because he's off writing proposals for research positions.
Oh, the glamorous life.
Glamorous life indeed. So, this week I've decided I'm just going to drink a couple of craft beers that are available in the supermarket, purchased from Morrison's. And I'm going to start with Brewdog Dead Pony Club. How about you, Aadil? What are you drinking?
This week, again, because it's 1 p.m., I'm going to drink Sleeman's Cream Ale. Sleeman's is an Ontario brewery that I think I've talked about before. One of Canada's older ones at a shockingly young 1834. But, you know, that's old for us.
Yeah.
It's probably their second most popular beer. The most popular being the Sleeman's Honey Brown.
Okay.
But it's available all over Canada, so I thought it'd be a nice one to talk about in the similar vein of you and the Morrison's beer.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to crack this one open. So, Dead Pony Club is from Brewdog. It's pale ale, or session ale, so it's only at about 3.8%, so a nice light beer to start with.
Oh yeah, this is a 5%. Comes in a fancy silver can, silver and red.
Nice.
The nose is a little watery, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And slight sweetness. Maybe a hint of malt, but not really. There's a primary scent that I can't place right now, but it's pretty smooth for a beer. It's not
nice.
an assault on the nose.
Yeah, the Dead Pony Club's similar in that it's quite smooth in comparison to, like, the Punk IPA.
Right.
It's not as hoppy, it's not quite as bitter. I suppose it is the session version of the Punk IPA. Although it may not be. It just says it's a pale ale, so it may not be an IPA as such. But it's nice, it's very carbonated. Brewdog have started releasing some of their beers in cans, which you can also purchase in Morrison's. Alex and I tried a few, and thought that they tasted a little worse than the bottled versions of them. We're not sure why. We're not sure why a can versus a bottle gives that much difference, really.
Yeah, with Coca-Cola it makes sense because it's so acidic. Because Coke from the can is the second best way to have Coke.
What's the first?
Glass bottle.
Okay. You don't really get glass bottles over here.
No, you don't get them over here either. Actually, cane sugar glass bottle, because I don't know what they make Coke with in the UK, but here in North America, because of the corn lobby, it's made with high fructose corn syrup as a sweetener. And Coke with the cane sugar blows it out of the water. In fact, every single soda is better with cane sugar than high fructose corn syrup.
Nice. Okay. Something to remember if I ever venture over.
Yeah. It's worth checking out when you're traveling. If you've never had cane sugar Coke, it tastes different.
Excellent. So, should we get chatting about some games?
Sure.
Would you like to kick us off? What have you been playing recently?
Given that it's been a number of weeks, and I have these vastly empty days in Saskatoon when my sister's family aren't around, it's easy to distract myself from what I should be doing with games. Probably the most played games, though, is a puzzle game called Hexcells, and its two sequels, Hexcells Plus and Hexcells Infinite.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be one of my weird analogies. You know in the movie Twins, the idea is that all the good parts go to Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the dregs are embodied by Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
Think of Sudoku and Minesweeper.
Okay.
Having an Arnold Schwarzenegger baby.
Right. Screams at you every time you open it up.
Yeah, basically, instead of squares, the tiles are hexagons. The idea is you're given a couple black squares which say, like, if it has 2 on it, then 2 of the square hexes that there's blue ones and then things that are orange.
Right.
And the orange ones you can either left click to mark them as blue, meaning it's one of the hidden ones you're trying to find.
Yep.
Or right click and to say it's not blue and therefore it's another black one with a number on it.
Sure.
And then it tells you how many are left. But it's things like, so you've got one black square that says 2, but there are 4 hexes touching it. So all you know is 2 of those are blue.
Right.
And thus 2 of them aren't.
Yeah. I get the putting Sudoku and the other one, Minesweeper, together.
Yeah, so you have to deduce given the information you have at hand. Like, for instance, if you have a 6, everything around is, because they're hexagons, everything's going to be blue. If it's a 5, only one's going to be missing, and so you just sort of have to think your way around that. But Hexcells 1 is really well paced. It gives you that, a couple puzzles, just as I described, and then it starts introducing new mechanics.
Okay.
So the first new mechanic is set braces, the squiggly brackets.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a black square with squiggly brackets, it means those are all in a row. Touching.
Oh, right.
So a 5, so like a 2 squiggly bracket, you know the second one is either on the left or right of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that introduces new ways of deducing things. If it also then the opposite is sort of a dash, the number, and a dash, and that means they're not touching. They're not contiguous, rather.
Yep,
so for 2, if you've got a 2 square that's only touching 2 hex, that's only touching 3 hexagons, you know the middle isn't and the left and right are, because they can't be beside each other. Right?
Yep.
And then it introduces the same numbering schema, but on the columns. So it'll be a number at the top of the column, and that tells you how many are blue in that column.
Right, okay.
And then similarly, they can be in braces or in dashes, so they're contiguous or not. And they also do that on the diagonals. Mm-hmm. And sometimes on the rows. No, never on the rows.
So do you have sort of set puzzles to complete? So then you progress through sort of levels, and it introduces these new mechanics through levels, which I assume get slightly more difficult and more complex and larger?
Oh, yeah. Like one of the last ones in Hexcells, you had probably had to find 50 amongst 100 hexagons. No, less than that. And you had 2 pieces of information that were like 2 black cells.
Yeah.
But they're all designed so you never have to guess. When you pass the level, it records your mistakes. When you pass the level, basically you've got different worlds, and there's 6 of them, and there's 6 worlds. Sorry, there's 6 levels in each world, and as you go, you unlock worlds. If you get a solid blue, it means you had more than 1 mistake. Yeah. And that gives you sort of a less of a count, and at certain counts you unlock the worlds. Okay. But so ideally you want to have 1 or 0 mistakes, and it sort of turns a lighter blue. Mm-hmm. So to perfect the game, you have to do all of the levels with 1 or less mistakes. Sure. And Hexcells sort of walks you through it really nice, introduces these mechanics at a good pace. Hexcells Plus, it introduces you to the mechanics, but it gets difficult rather quickly. Okay. And it also sort of, it makes you have to, it widens the type of reasoning you have to have. Mm-hmm. Like in Hexcells 1, it's pretty much, here's the information, so you look at the cell, and from the cell, and it's like information relating directly to the cell, you can figure things out. But in Hexcells Plus, you have to think of, okay, it's either going to be this one or this one or this one. And if it's this one, then you have to do second level reasoning. You have to keep more information of more than one cell to sort of figure out which one has to be the blue one.
Yeah. Did you jump from Hexcells to Hexcells Plus pretty quickly?
I went immediately to it, but I got it in a
okay.
bundle with like all three of them. I can't remember from where, a long time ago. And now Hexcells Infinite is same idea but much harder. But also they have they developed an algorithm that generates levels, hence the Infinite.
Right. Yeah.
So you might think, oh well, I should just buy the Infinite one because then I don't run out of content. But it's quite difficult if you haven't. Like it's a good pacing, and they're all fairly cheap.
Sure.
I would at least get Hexcells and maybe skip Plus, and you might be okay. But it's super addictive. I in a day finished Hexcells and immediately started Hexcells Plus.
Wow, nice.
So yeah, that's the game that's taken up most of my time, and I'm not even a puzzle gamer normally. But now I'm looking at all other puzzle games because it turns out I like puzzle games. But who knew?
It's when you start to delve more into the genre and realise that there's loads of games you haven't played that are well received by loads of other people and have really good reviews and things, and suddenly you've dedicated all of your time just to puzzle games. I sort of feel like that with point-and-click adventure games at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
I was playing Broken Age several weeks ago.
Right, I remember that.
Chatted to Alex about it a couple of episodes ago. And I finished Act 2.
Which is the whole game, right?
Ago. So yes, there's only Act 1 and Act 2. But Act 2 sort of ramps up the difficulty of the puzzles, whereas Act 1 you've you almost stick with one character, and because there's two characters to pick from, two storylines running concurrently, and you play through one storyline, play through the other one. They don't interact a huge amount, but when it comes to Act 2, the storylines start to interact a little bit more. You need to do something with one character that affects something that happens with the other character to then do something they need to
they feed back
they need to perform. And and you have to do quite a lot of back and forth, especially with the sort of the last half an hour of the game. And as I was saying to Alex, sort of when I started the game, I wasn't in that point-and-click frame of mind. I wasn't clicking on everything. I wasn't exploring all of my options. I was just sort of expecting it to tell me what to do.
Because that's what action games do.
Exactly. I've come to not rely on it, but you've almost come to expect it a little bit, that it's going to give you some prompts and allow you to move forward. But Broken Age almost gives you nothing, and you've really got to think about it. You've got to try and explore absolutely everything. So you'll get to a character, an NPC, and you'll be chatting. Well, all of them are NPCs down there, apart from the one you're playing. But you get to another character, and you've got to explore the dialogue choices. You've got to tease information out of them. You can start to use items on them to see if they want them or see if they want to use them. And because I suppose Act 1 had eased me into it as such, or at least once I'd clicked, that's why I'd had to start doing it, eased me into it, and the puzzles weren't too difficult. Whereas with Act 2, it really ramps up sort of the difficulty and almost gives you nothing, and you've really got to just fully explore absolutely everything. You visit a lot of the same locations, or you visit all the same locations almost, as you did in Act 1. But because of that, so the characters almost switch sides. So both the other one's exploring the other environment that the first one was in. And you almost feel, because you've already explored the area once, that you know what you should be doing and what's happening, but actually it's something very subtly different, but that will work in a completely different way. But that was, it's a very enjoyable game. It was the free PlayStation Plus game.
That's always handy.
Yeah, several. Was it? I think it was October. It might have been October's PlayStation Plus game. But finished that. Highly enjoyed it. But it led me to pick up Dropsy the Clown.
I've vaguely heard of this, but...
So it's a point-and-click adventure game, and they advertise it a point-and-click hug-venture game. So you are a clown, and you're playing through this adventure game, and the thing with the clown is he loves to hug everybody. So people don't want to hug you until you've made them happy by doing whatever action it is they want you to do. And that's sort of how you progress through the story, by appeasing people and making them happy, and trying to figure out what they need.
Right.
With Broken Age, you get a lot of dialogue, a lot of spoken dialogue within Broken Age. It's all fully voice acted. Dropsy the Clown has no voice acting at all.
Right.
It's all of the clues for what you need to do are told through not even speech bubbles, almost action bubbles. So you'll get an action which will show maybe a flower and then a crying face and then something else that equals.
Now, are these
sort of
coming from the characters, but in
Yes.
pictographs?
Yes, so they come from the characters. So you go up and you talk to one of the characters, and these bubbles will appear above them, and you've got to try and decipher what these what it entails. And it's quite nice and easy, because once you've picked up the language and what each of the symbols begin to mean, it's quite quick to understand what a character wants. It was only a very quick game, I suppose, as opposed to Broken Age, which I think took me several hours. It took me a few afternoons to get through. That's more because of incompetency than actually it being.
But I don't think it's
long.
incompetent, because the whole point, of point and click adventure games is that the puzzle should be hard. That's where the gameplay. If it's really hard for you, that should be a good thing, right? However, it sounds like Dropsy the Clown, once the language clicked.
Yes, very much. That was good. I like that.
It sort of just became more running through than deciphering.
It did. Towards the end of the game, it definitely felt like it was just swiftly moving through screens. With Broken Age, there is a lot of back and forth between the areas that you've been in, but normally, or with a lot of it almost came in order. So you'd go back to one screen, you'd do something on that screen, you'd go to the next screen, you then do the next part of it, you go to the next screen, or maybe you skip one. Whereas with Dropsy, you're back and forth across the map, just moving through areas really not quickly, walking through areas slowly, but not having to do anything for maybe 5 or 6 screens until you then discover the person that you need to speak to. It's all sort of pixelated, and it looks really nice. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. There's some really good background music to it. But yeah, it just felt a little, after coming from Broken Age.
Right.
I think maybe if I'd have done it the other way around, I wouldn't have picked up on Dropsy being a little more.
Do you think you would have looked for another adventure game though after Dropsy?
Probably not. I don't think I would have looked for either of them had Broken Age not have been the free PlayStation Plus game. I only played it because I had it available to play.
Yeah.
As I said, that then pushed me on to looking for something else. But yeah, had it been the other way around, and maybe I'd seen Dropsy in a sale or something like that, and picked it up and tried it for a bit, I might not have even completed it. I might have just played for a little while, thought, okay, this is fun, it's gets a little bit repetitive, and dropped it. But I suppose because I was in that frame of mind for a point-and-click game, I sort of wanted to see it through to the end.
Now, is that frame of mind exhausted now, or are you...
Yeah, I think so. I've not sought any other point-and-click adventure games. There was a Steam Autumn sale.
Yes, there was.
And I picked up a few games, none of which were point-and-click adventure games. I don't even know if any were on sale. That's sort of, I just breezed past lots of games until I sort of saw what I wanted. But
the Deponia series is a fairly popular, smaller publisher point-and-click series that goes on sale on Good Old Games and Steam and even Humble Bundle, I think, the Humble Bundle store.
Yeah.
And I've heard really good things. I started Deponia, the first one. I think there's 3 in the series. And the first few puzzles were challenging, and I got through the first sort of main stage. And then I discovered Hexcells. That's what happened. So, and so I haven't really touched it again, but I don't really have an urge to do adventure games. I do think it is one of the genres where you really have to be in the mood for it.
Definitely.
Well,
they're not easy pick up and play games.
Yeah. Well, like a puzzle game, I could play for like 10 minutes almost any day, and I might stop, a little while, but I wouldn't be like, oh, definitely don't want to play that.
Yeah. Nice. So, I'm banging through this Brewdog Dead Pony Club.
How is it? We sort of skipped that taste part of our...
It's very nice. It's a little hoppy, not much at all.
So more of a pale ale than an India pale ale.
Yes, yeah. You get just a slight hint of it. It's slightly coppery, not overly, but you got a slight hint of that in there, which is nice. It almost smells like a punk IPA, but just toned down very slightly. I don't know. You sort of, along with punk IPA, Dead Pony Club's the sort of the beer that you see pushed into sort of mass retailers.
Yeah.
Most of the time, so it's good though. It's very good.
The cream ale. It's not that creamy.
Mm-hmm.
It's light on the carbonation, which makes sense for a cream ale.
Yeah.
But it's not creamy like Guinness or Kilkenny. Like it's not like creamy. It also, that sort of watery smell is also sort of part of the taste. Like it just sort of tastes a little. It kind of tastes like weak, if that makes sense. Like it just, there's something missing. It doesn't have. Yeah. It's not a hearty tasting beer, and it's not smooth like a cream ale should be. Because normally you can have a sort of lighter flavor, but it's replaced by something else. This sort of feels like when they say cream ale, they just mean not boisterous in taste, but then it doesn't have the smoothness to go with it.
Sure.
It's not to say that it's bitter or anything. There's a slight, ever so slight bitterness, but even that's super toned down, so it's kind of just a beer. Like, I wouldn't suspect it's a cream ale when I tasted it.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, as I've finished, I'm going to open up my next beer.
I'm going to open up my pack of jealousy.
Yeah. It's the Goose Island Goose IPA. Another beer I've had before, but again, another beer from the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. So did you pick up anything in the Steam Autumn Sale whilst we're slightly on the topic?
Did I pick up anything? Oh, I don't remember. Yes. What was it? Oh, I picked up a two-pack Shakur of yet another zombie game.
What?
Or what is it called? Hold on. It is called. Let's try this out. Yet another zombie defense.
Okay.
Because the game was 54 cents.
Right.
And the 2-pack was 82 cents.
Nice. What's the 2-pack game?
No, as in the 2-pack of this game.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, I was being unclear.
For a moment there, rather than you meaning 2-pack, I thought you actually played through a zombie game as 2-pack.
2-pack Shakur? Oh my god, we need to make this game. And it's I haven't played it yet, but it's basically instead of a tower defense, you have like a small area which has a lamppost and some barricades, and you and your it's co-op, so you play together and you just shoot zombies. It's sort of not quite isometric, but top down at an angle. I figured I'd give that a go. Just trying to look what else I got. A couple other games. Oh, I basically bought a couple of these little games that I had heard of more recently. So I got Unfinished and Artist's Lament.
Yeah.
And Journal.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard.
I've heard of the first one, but I've not heard of Journal.
So Journal is Enter the pages of the hand-painted world of Journal, a journey through the life of a young and troubled girl as she tries to face up the choices and responsibilities that come with childhood. An experience that questions the reliability of how we choose to remember events and explores the truth. I've heard really good things. It came out last February, like 2014, and it just looks really, really pretty.
Nice.
So it's basically like an open book with like ruled paper.
Yeah.
And so on a table, so there are things on the table. It's like the graphics of the table and the things on the table are pretty crappy, but then everything else looks hand-drawn, hand-painted. Sure. So it's like the smoothness of watercolors. So there's no harsh lines, but you interact with it that way, and I thought that would be kind of cool.
Nice.
And I bought Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Ooh, excellent.
Because I heard excellent things, and it was finally on sale.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last thing, Secret Ponchos.
Oh, okay. I think I had Secret Ponchos on the PS4, which was one of the free PlayStation Plus games right back when the PS4 was released, I believe. But I've never played it.
Well, I haven't played this one yet. Perhaps we'll play on our two different platforms and report back.
Exactly. I didn't pick up much till picked up Titan Souls.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a little pixel. It's almost like a Shadow of the Colossus type. There's only large boss battles.
Right.
It's very easy to die. I believe very early on you've only got sort of one arrow to shoot at them, and you've got to go or one arrow at a time until you hit them, and you've got to go and pick that up to be able to shoot it again and things.
Right.
But it looks really interesting. Has had some good reviews. I also picked up the Stanley Parable.
Oh, you finally picked it up?
Yeah, which completely passed me by. I played Beginner's Guide when it was released a couple of months ago, which is fantastic. But I'm waiting for one of you two to play it as well, so we can have a very in-depth discussion about it. But yeah, I mean, I've seen my brother play the Stanley Parable. I liked the humour of the narration and the way the game sort of plays with you and things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I forgot even to look for Beginner's Guide on the Steam sale.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see it in the sale, but like the Stanley Parable was something like £1.20.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember it was dirt cheap. I mean, it was dirt cheap a long time ago.
Yeah, very true.
I really enjoy the Stanley Parable. I have not done it because I started it on the Rift.
Okay.
And it's really enjoyable that way.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to... Because it is about looking around and stuff, and it's not really, like, action-y, so you don't have to worry about, like, spinning around. Like, I would not want to play Call of Duty on the Rift because so much of your looking is aiming, right?
Yep.
And also, you need to be able to spin around. I think I'd just get a headache.
Yeah, you're trying to be as quick as possible, and it's all twitch responses and movements and things.
But that's a game you just sort of want to wander about and look at things, right? Having said that, like Fear, I really enjoy on the Rift.
Yeah.
But I just think there's a difference between sort of the like you said, Twitch. It's the speed of modern FPS multiplayers versus even modern single-player FPSs, but also especially from things from like 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Pacing is just a little different.
Definitely, things do seem to have got faster recently in terms of how things interact with you and when they come at you, especially in first-person shooter games. I don't think so much within other sort of games. I know that Bloodborne, made by From Software,
right,
is slightly faster than the Dark Souls games that were released. It plays on that with slightly different mechanics, and you play it in a slightly different way. But a lot of people have said that that's a slightly faster game than the standard sort of Dark Souls, Demon Souls mechanics and things. So games do seem to be getting a little bit faster, going in a slightly quicker pace. Which isn't a bad thing. It just gives you more variation in the games that you play. If you're still getting, if you get Bloodborne and you get another game, another Dark Souls, so Dark Souls 3, which is coming out,
right?
Then you've sort of got both of those to, you can pick up which one suits you better, I suppose.
Right. Although we've played a fair bit of FPSs in the past couple months, and I just realized that we both gravitated to a genre which is totally at your own pace.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has to do with the things we've been poking.
Quite possibly.
But it's an idle thought.
The other game that I have been playing, which I won't talk about a huge amount because I'm not that far into it, is the absurdly massive Fallout 4.
I haven't picked that up.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to ignore it.
But everyone loves the shit out of it?
Well, my brother turned up at my house for the weekend. We invited him up to come up for a few beers, and he turned up with a late birthday present and said, "Here you go." And it's like, oh,
Jesus.
now you fucking done it. So yeah, I put not a huge amount of hours. I've only played maybe 6 hours of it, but that's a game that you can take, even though it's got that sort of not quite as fast-paced shooting as something like Call of Duty.
Right.
You can still take that so much at your own pace. I've just been sort of wandering the wasteland, just discovering points. I've barely done any missions or progressed the story at all. Just been wandering about, getting my ass shot by loads of raiders and getting into high-level areas when I shouldn't be getting into them. And it's it's fun. It's really fun.
Excellent. There was another game I was playing. Is there anything else you want to say about Fallout 4?
No, I think I'll leave it to a later episode because I've not delved into it too much at all. Sort of from a lot of the things that I've seen, there's a lot of crafting. There's these ideas of being able to build settlements. And loads of bits that I've just not looked at yet. So if I can tell you that it's fun to just wander the wasteland and shoot at things.
I was going to say, how immersive is the world? Because I've heard that's a really big thing. And you've played the previous Fallout games, right, I assume?
Yeah, I didn't play New Vegas.
Oh.
But I played Fallout 3. I played Fallout, the original Fallout as well. But very different game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really been a massive fan of Bethesda games.
Oh.
And I've never... I didn't get into Skyrim. I played Morrowind when that came out.
I didn't get into Skyrim either.
I didn't get into Oblivion. I didn't get into Skyrim. And I think that was because I played so many fantasy set online multiplayer games.
Right.
EverQuest, all the other ones, World of Warcraft, as many as sort of I could get my hands on, and Guild Wars and stuff, that they sort of all felt a little bit empty.
Right.
To me. Whereas Fallout, it's sort of meant to be empty.
Yeah, that weakness of the engine / world design is actually a strength.
Yes, yeah.
That is a really good point.
So it sort of, the multiplayer games I've been, not multiplayer, the single player games that I've been playing, the big ones, so the Witcher 3 and
right.
Metal Gear Solid 5, very different games to this. And both of those, Metal Gear does seem devoid of anything at times, but it's very easy to go into sort of action mode
right
in that and just keep going on with that and just going from outpost to outpost, just destroying people. The Witcher 3 was absolutely full of stuff. Even when you went off the beaten track, you'd come across monsters. And
did you end up finishing it, or did you get sufficiently distracted by Metal Gear?
Did I finish The Witcher?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And they released an expansion.
Yes, they did.
I say it's not an expansion as such. A little bit
DLC
of DLC with a few more missions, which took you past the not level cap as such, but as long as you were over level 30, you could go and do these additional missions. And I think I was about level 34 or something like that when I finished the game, so I could go back and do that. But they are releasing an expansion, which is going to take you to another area, which hasn't been shown off yet. So I think I'll probably pick both of those up when that comes out and jump back into The Witcher at that point. Whereas with Metal Gear, I don't think... Well, I say that. If they released another couple of missions for it, I probably would pick them up because I want more story. More story!
Although the odds of that are lower.
Yeah, it does seem very low. But no, I mean, I know that something like Fallout 4 will have additional content. All of the Bethesda games do include, will come out later with additional content. So I'll see how I get on with this one first and how far I progress through, because I never finished Fallout 3. I got about 90% of the way through, put it down because something else came out and just never picked it up again.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I think when something like New Vegas came out, I just had my fill of that sort of genre, whereas now I've had such a big length of time since Fallout 3.
Right.
Fallout 4 seems to have come at the right time. And as it was only announced this year at the Bethesda conference at E3, there's not been that long to wait for it to be released. Whereas with a lot of games now, you're sort of getting an 18-month, well, more than that, you're getting a 2.5 year sort of lead-in time. Like The Last Guardian's been touted for about 7 years now. It's ridiculous like that. So
I do appreciate the we're not going to bother telling you until it's going to be a thing. Mostly because there's the way hype cycles work. Also, if you tell us super early about at your concept stage, you haven't hit any logistical walls, and you're just setting things up to be a disappointment, right?
When it inevitably gets delayed because you need a little bit more time for polish, or because something didn't quite work the way it sort of
you had to cut a feature because of timelines or whatever.
Yeah.
While being like, we're pretty sure all of this is going to be in. Also, there's not going to be a lull in the hype cycle because there's not enough time.
Yes, yeah.
Having said that, from what I understand, at least one of the press releases of EB Games, it was GameStop in the States, that the Star Wars Battlefront sales were 60% of what they expected.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently it's not doing that great, although part of GameStop's claim is that it's because more people are moving to digital versus physical gaming.
Sure, and it's not
including on consoles, right?
Yeah. I know, or I saw a stat, which I don't know whether it was UK or whether it was worldwide, but it said that a lot more people had picked up Battlefront on PS4 than they had done on Xbox and PC combined.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah. So doesn't seem to, shooters do really well on PCs normally. Mm-hmm. This just doesn't seem to have resonated with that crowd. It seems that maybe because it had such a big advertising link with PS4, that's what people have picked it up on. I know, being both a PC and a PlayStation gamer, I probably, if I'd have picked it up, I probably would have picked it up for PlayStation 4.
That's fair. I think I wouldn't be... if I had a PlayStation 4, I might think of that as well. Although, as we know, I'm PC first.
Yeah.
Although having the PS3 and the various games I've bought on the PS3 has helped here because there's a PS3 here, and I can just download a couple games. Nice. And a lot of them are the free games. Oh, that's the other game I played. Rain.
Oh, yeah?
Which was free a million years ago on PS Plus. And it's really fun. It's not that long. It's an 8-chapter game. It tells a story. The story is a boy sees in the rain in Paris, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or in some European city, although it's hard to tell anyway. Sees an outline of a monster chasing a girl. I say outline because they're both invisible except for water is hitting them.
Yeah.
He follows them, goes through some sort of doorway that they go through, and he turns into an invisible person as well. Mm-hmm. And the mechanics are basically you're trying to look for the girl, and spoiler alert, you find her at some point to travel with her. And you're trying to navigate to find a safe place. And it tells a story. I won't give away any of that stuff, but it's reasonably engaging. It's no voiceover, but it gives you like text overlays, and then the boy did this. Like, it's very much storybook based in sort of the way the narrative comes out. But like the mechanics are super simple. There's like bad guys that are all like wolves or dogs or something ish, that type of thing. And as soon as they see you, they chase after you. But they're fully sight-based, so if you go under an awning or a roof or something, you disappear completely.
Because no rain is hitting you.
Yeah. But it does a really good job of showing you where you are by little dust clouds on your footsteps.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really fun. I totally got into it. It was not that challenging. So it's sort of... It sort of walks the line between story-driven and gameplay-driven. It's nothing major in either, but still manages to satisfy.
Yeah.
Like if you said pick a story game, I wouldn't pick it. If you said pick a gameplay game, I wouldn't pick it. But it all works really well together despite that.
I'm not sure it sort of it didn't release that long ago, did it? It's only a couple of years old. And I think it appeared on PlayStation Plus quite quickly. But I think it came out around about the time, maybe it's only a year or a little bit older than that, but around about the time that the next generation of consoles came out. So it was quite overlooked. And I know I'd got rid of my PlayStation 3 before
it came out on PS Plus.
It came out on PS Plus. And so we're about 2 years into the current cycle on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, aren't we? So
I think I got it on like the first month I had PS Plus.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had it that long.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fun. And
nice.
the story is reasonably engaging. So once I started it, I kind of wanted to finish it. It's also I did a quick search and found out that it was 8 chapters, and the first couple chapters didn't take me that long. And I think knowing its length helped me play it more.
Okay.
Because like I said, it's not stellar, but it's short enough that I'd kind of want to know how this ends. And that's enough to propel me because it's only going to be a few hours.
Sure.
Like I probably put 3 hours into it to get to 6 chapters.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I mean, that's not long at all. I think with say like the Broken Age and Dropsy, at least Broken Age had 2 acts, so once I'd completed the first act, you get a feel that the second act is going to be a similar sort of length. Wasn't, because it was the puzzles were harder and there was a lot more to sort of try and get out of it to be able to progress. So it did take a little bit longer, but you have that benchmark, whereas Dropsy being just sort of one playthrough, no chapters or acts or anything like that. You're just continuously going, and you don't really know how well you're progressing. You sort of there is a slight storyline to it, but it's got lots of little subplots in between that don't relate to the main sort of storyline, and you can be doing all of these little subplots. I would imagine that you can probably do most of them before you even worry about a lot of the very short sort of main story that it has. I mean, and Dropsy wasn't a very long game at all, but it gave you nothing to know how well you were progressing, really.
Right.
Or at least nothing that I sort of picked up on. There is a cool feature that when you've hugged someone and you have helped them out and done what you need to do, a almost child's drawing will appear on the bedroom wall above Dropsy's bed, which obviously he has drawn, and the wall starts to fill up with all of these pictures. So I would imagine that only that wall fills up with pictures, so you sort of get a sense with how many pictures you've put on that wall, but not all subplot, not all of the sub sort of plots were paced as quickly as other ones. Some of them were really swift. You only had to do one small thing, whereas other ones you had to trek back and forth across the map to be able to do. So it sort of, even with that, it didn't give you a huge amount to know sort of how well you were doing.
Right.
Which I suppose is one of the turns off of point-and-click adventure games, which is why I like sort of, the exploration sort of strategy games. You know where you're going with those. Once you've conquered half the map, you know that you are
right.
You're sort of on your way. But yeah. But it was still fun. So shall we discuss, as I've mentioned, Fallout 4? A little bit of news that dropped last week, I believe, which were the sale figures for Fallout 4 versus the other big release on that day, which was Rise of the Tomb Raider, and chat a little bit about Christmas, winter gaming.
Sounds good.
The season of gaming.
So I haven't actually toured the boards / websites for a while, so I don't actually know anything about the sales figures. I will say that it's just probably because I'm a PC gamer and Tomb Raider is much more of a console-style game, and Fallout is much more, at least, the audience on the PC would look at a Fallout game way before a Tomb Raider game, I think.
Right.
But I didn't even realize Rise of the Tomb Raider came out the same day.
So it's
or that it was out at all, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's Xbox exclusive, so Microsoft
that's why
dumped a ton of money on Crystal Dynamics to get the exclusivity for it.
So it's Xbox exclusive forever, or is it a head start?
No, it's a timed exclusive.
Right. Okay.
So they've suggested that roughly this time next year. So it's about a year. So this
Holy
time next year.
Shit.
Yeah, this time next year it's going to release on PlayStation, and I believe at the same time on PC as well. So it's a long time to wait, and I don't think it shifted sort of the. It wasn't the system seller that they sort of wanted it to be. I don't think. From looking at a few stats online, I think Tomb Raider sold under about 60,000 copies in the UK, whereas Fallout was closer to something like 500,000.
I was going to say 60,000's not good in the current.
No, it's not. I mean, even Fallout being sort of like 500,000, that is across 3 platforms. So you can take a little bit off of that for sort of each individual platform. Say if you were only looking at Xbox users that bought Fallout, it's still a lot more than the people that bought sort of Rise of the Tomb Raider. But both of these are very big games. Like Rise of the Tomb Raider should be a big release. The previous, the Tomb Raider reboot, was a fantastic game. From what I've reimagined it really well, but
I haven't actually played it yet. I think I've gotten it for free on every platform. And by that I mean something in the PlayStation sphere, something in the Xbox sphere. Because although I don't have the next gen consoles, I just take from the Gold Plus subscriptions. I didn't. I don't want
coming out.
Yeah, I didn't know at all, and I don't kind of care anymore. A year is a long time, and we've talked before about how because everything's basically just a PC.
Yeah.
And the underlying architecture is so similar that except for some rudimentary calls, it shouldn't be that hard to adapt things to both, or all three even. This type of exclusivity is just wrong. Like the difference between the systems is mostly artificial. I'm not saying it doesn't take people ever, blah blah blah, but like it's not impossible. That's why we're seeing games come out on all 3 platforms. And it's one thing to say a month or 2, but a year, no one's going to give a shit about this game next year. That is just a bad move. This is
you sort of that's my thoughts exactly. In a year's time, there's going to be another bunch of huge games around about this time of year that are going to be released, and it almost feels like Tomb Raider's just going to be swept under the carpet again when it releases on the other consoles. Whether they try and release it at a lower price point to try and get a few more people to pick it up, or whether they, because I would assume that there's going to be some additional content for it throughout the year. So it releases as almost like a definitive edition, and you get everything that has come out for it.
A GOTY edition?
Yeah, almost, yeah. But for sort of, standard retail price, that might grab a few more people. It's, I really enjoyed the Tomb Raider that was released a few years ago, the sort of the rebooted version. So I would like to play play Rise of the Tomb Raider. But yeah, to wait a year for it, it will probably be something that disappears until after next Christmas.
Yeah, until you can get it for dirt cheap.
Second hand, yeah.
I think the best description of that Tomb Raider game was probably by Nerdcubed, who said it's probably the worst Tomb Raider game, but it's a really fun game.
Right.
Because there's no real raiding of tombs. The puzzling is completely removed. It's become a female Uncharted, which is not a bad thing. It just isn't. If you wanted a Tomb Raider game, you shouldn't go to the, in the traditional sense, you shouldn't go to these games. But they're fun and they're reasonably good. What I'm really curious about on this game is there was quite a backlash, well, in my feminist sphere of the gaming blogosphere, because the trope of she had to be beaten up and threatened of rape / maybe raped in order to find her strength instead of just being strong like boys can do. I'm curious, like, the outside of that, the storytelling was really good. I think that yes, it had some problems with using tropes that are not the best.
Yeah.
But I did like the story in general. I think they told a good story, and so I'm curious if they learned anything from that critique, or if they just thought it was a bunch of, lefty hippie feminists.
Yeah, it would be good to see how they've sort of moved the character forward. I think there's, I'm not sure how it plays within the storyline or where it falls within the timeline of what you're doing within the game, but I have seen that there are cut scenes, I don't know whether they're interactive or anything, of you almost speaking, I think it's Lara speaking to a therapist. So whether they're exploring that a little bit more, or whether they, rather than just sort of brushing it off as a one-off event that made her a badass and then she just continued to do that. I think it does seem like they're trying to.
Yeah, I think since that's stuck in the character now, like it's in the canon, it does make sense to maybe highlight it. Yeah. This is troubling, and it happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, now I'm super curious. For 2 years from now when it's dirty.
Exactly, when it's a free PlayStation Plus game, or it's on a Steam sale, or whenever it gets released at a reduced rate.
That is really funny. Poor move.
But to go up against something like Fallout, and you had Battlefront the week before, maybe 2 weeks before, you had Call of Duty 2 weeks before that, or a week before that. And we've got some big games coming out on the run up to Christmas. So yeah, you sort of, with something like Tomb Raider, would they have been better to just have gone, well, let's release in January when not many games have come out? Okay, people don't have as much money in January because of Christmas, and
so I have a problem with this idea that Christmas is the only time gamers spend money. Sales figures probably reflect that, but that's because the biggest games only come out in the holiday season. And then if you happen to have money in the summer, you have to go used or old or whatever, because there's just nothing coming out.
Or you drink it all away.
Well, yeah, but I'm assuming you want a video game. And it's I think it's mostly artificial and self-feeding. Like, yeah, sure, I'll buy a gift, but most people I know, present company excluded, don't get games for Christmas or whatever. Like, even if they're a gamer, they might buy things on a holiday sale. They might buy things at the holiday time because they want the game, but they're not using holiday money per se. There's nothing like if this game they're really excited about came out 6 months earlier, they would still try and spend the money. Like it doesn't seem like there's a big.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the last, apart from my brother picking up Fallout, I think the last game I got as a gift was Assassin's Creed 2.
Great game.
It is a great game. That was a long time ago. I think we're at that age where we have our money and we do what we want with it as such. So you sort of, if someone says to you, "Oh, I'd like to buy you a gift for," your mum says, "I'd like to buy you a gift for Christmas. What would you like?" You think, well, I've already picked up the games I'm going to pick up. Buy me some pants, please.
Maybe I'm just old. And prejudiced, because I'm like, Call of Duty should definitely come out in the holiday season. That makes sense to me, but not all of the other ones.
I think it must coincide with when people are going to have a large amount of time off.
Oh, I didn't.
When at least people or publishers
Summer
believe that
vacation,
people are going to have off. Yeah, but normally with the summer you go away.
No, I'm talking about kids though, right? Because kids, if you're looking at the holiday season, most people who are going to get games, I think, are people who have who are younger, right?
Sure.
But then, when is the highest time contiguously for them to play games? The summer, June, end of June or July, August, depending on how life works in your area of the world.
But then, Call of Duty is an 18.
Oh, that's
Fallout 4 must be. Well, I don't know actually whether it's a 15 or an 18 or something. I would imagine that Tomb Raider is a higher age rated game.
But then, if you're over 18, you probably are either in uni or starting to work and having more control over your money, so you, even if your parents are supporting you, you spend your money the way you want to spend your money, even if they're giving it to you. So it just seems really artificial. But now we can't fight it. And it just seems a shame, because I actually might buy more than one of these blockbuster games a year if they were spaced out. But I can't afford in a month to buy a couple of $70 games. So I buy one at the most.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then I wait for the other ones.
Yeah, I think I was quite lucky with the games that I wanted this year, with The Witcher coming out. I think it was about May.
Yeah, and that was a great release. Because people talked about it for months, and I know people picking it up for months later. It just seemed to work fine. It
did. When did Metal Gear come out? Of the first week of September.
Yeah.
So that sort of started the lead up to sort of the big blockbuster releases, really. And then I probably wouldn't have, because my car had decided it was going to break. That had killed my gaming budget for most of November and December. So I had thought about picking up the new Call of Duty. I had thought about picking up the new Battlefront. Again, thought about picking up Fallout. And sort of, I would have sat there and thought, which one would I want? But suddenly that was taken out of my hands and I wasn't going to buy any of them.
Right.
As such. But then that could have happened at any time of the year, and I could have been without money when The Witcher came out, just purely coincidental. I didn't have the cash to be able to buy a game because of real life. But that then happens. And if you've got all of these big games coming out within one period of time, and as we say, you can only pick up one of the big games in a month, in 2 months, 3 months.
I was going to say, the average...
One big game every 3 months. It's crazy. But I suppose they want to fight for your money, don't they?
Yeah, it seems weird to fight for what isn't a huge market chunk. I think like you said, September even it seems like a good time because there was no competition for Metal Gear. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
Yeah. I think the other game that released this week, which has been completely overlooked, was Just Cause 3.
Has it been completely overlooked? It just came out 2 days ago.
Is it? Yeah, 2 days ago, and I've seen a few people putting up reviews.
Oh, I'm fucking psyched about that. Have you played a lot of Just Cause?
I played a few hours of Just Cause 2 on PC, but didn't like mouse and keyboard controls for it, so put it down.
I don't mind mouse and keyboard controls for it, which shouldn't be that surprising. I'm pretty sure if I used a controller, some of the quick like grappling parachuting is a little clunky.
Yeah,
because you can basically fly, right, if you time things right at a low height. But I'm sure it's easier on the controller. But Just Cause 1 was all right. It was a really cool conceptually because it had the parachute, it had the grappling hook, it had different it also had this idea of bending reality so things don't need to be even close to real.
Mm.
Like this idea of having unlimited grappling hooks, and you dual wield Beretta-like guns with from the start with infinite ammo.
Yeah, never having to repack your parachute.
You have to reload.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's the only thing that stops you. And they're the weakest gun in the game. But at no point are you like, shit, I don't have bullets. It's just not part of this game. And then Just Cause 2, first of all, graphically, for its time especially, was gorgeous and huge. Huge game. And the parachute grappling hook stuff was much easier to do. The modding community on the PC took it and ran with it. So, in fact, they endorsed the multiplayer mod, which is available as a thing on Steam.
Quality.
Because people liked it so much and they wanted to be in their own Michael Bay film with their friends. That they made a multiplayer mod, and then the devs were like, "Fuck yeah, we didn't have time to do that." So it's one of the downloads you can get.
Yeah.
And based on that, Just Cause 3 has multiplayer, and it looks hilarious. So one of the limiting factors in Just Cause 2 was you had a tether, right? So like a grappling hook you attach to one thing and then another thing, and you're not part of it. But you only got one of them.
Yeah.
In 3, you've got an infinite number of those too.
Right.
So you can chain things.
Oh, so you can attach multiple things to multiple things.
Yeah. And the whole point of these games is that physics is not quite normal, and you are ridiculous, man. Like the plot doesn't fucking matter.
That's the superpower of ridiculousness.
Yeah, and Just Cause 2, you attacked bases and took them over, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with Just Cause 1. And in order to take them over, you had to just destroy as much shit as possible, causing chaos. But then they were done.
Yeah.
So you could either fuck around or do the missions. The missions got easier if you fucked around first, because you like Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
Right? But in Just Cause 3, things regenerate, because people recognize the whole point of this game is just to fool around with physics and explosions and stuff, and just have a lark. And they're not hiding from it. They're like, this is what you want to do. I don't want to stop you from this. I don't want to make artificial constraints. Have fun.
Nice. So, that's cool. Oh, well, hopefully Just Cause 3 sort of runs with that a little bit more and does quite well. But again, it's got some big competition to come up against.
If I had a PC here besides my MacBook Air, I would have contemplated buying Just Cause 3, but I can't run it.
Well, I suppose if you don't, you had pre-ordered Battlefront as well, hadn't you?
Yeah, and I haven't actually played it because I don't have that capacity.
Yes, well, hopefully that will come up on a future episode.
And a friend of mine bought a new NVIDIA graphics card. and there was a giveaway of either Assassin's Creed Syndicate or Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh yeah,
which came out.
Oh, that came out like today or 2 days ago.
2 days ago, same day as Just Cause. And he's like, I don't like these games.
Okay.
So he's like, which one do you want? So I picked Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, quality! I did jump into the beta very swiftly. I played maybe 2 games, not really enough to give any kind of impression about it at all. Apart from the fact that the servers were pretty shitty when I tried to play it. That's what I came away with. That's about it. But I jumped into that beta sort of on the last night,
right?
When there was no time left,
right?
Because I had other shit to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did seem like it would be fun.
Yeah, I what am I trying to say? The siege idea and the fact that you can there's so much destruction in the environment and you can shoot through walls and stuff. That makes me excited because that's an actual evolution of the genre.
Yep.
It's not just jumping twice.
Yeah. Running along a wall very slightly. Yeah.
So that makes me excited. I mean, and also I got it for free because I'm a lucky son of a bitch.
Nice. That's always good. So, we shall leave it there for a week. Lots of games come out at Christmas. If you're playing more than one, tell us and we'll call you a very lucky bastard with far too much money to spend on games.
And how do they tell us something?
They tell us things through the power of the internet. So you can go on Twitter. We're at tankedup_cast. I'm at Nova_47. Aadil is
at the Omniarch.
And you can email us. You can write us letters. You can jump up and down, smoke signals. We sort of...
We're tankedupcast@gmail.com?
I believe so. tankedupcast@gmail.com.
The dots don't matter in Gmail. We've been over this, I think, on the air as well. I don't think I was quite as derisive as I realized I just was, and I apologize for that.
Tankedupcast!
Yeah, our YouTube channel is a little stale these days, but we have one. Just look up Tanked Up. And by all means, join our Steam group as well.
Yeah, we set up a Steam group and we've reviewed, one word or one sentence reviewed a few games that we've been playing.
Mm-hmm. In fact, interesting. There are 4 members and 4 online.
Really? Am I online? I didn't realise. Excellent.
I was going to say. I was going to say who's the 4th, but Alex isn't in it, and Nuva47 is. Is that...
That's my brother. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Who will be listening, because he's awesome.
Fair
anyway,
enough.
What has been your favourite / only beer this week?
Give the cream ale a pass. There's other generic beers out there. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's fair. The Goose Island, really nice. It's a little heavier, a little hoppier than the Dead Pony Club, but it is a session out of the Dead Pony Club, and I could just drink it and drink it and drink it. So I think that will be my pick for this week.
Excellent.
If you're in Morrison's or, in fact, any supermarket across the land in the UK. Which land is this? The UK.
This is including in Northern Ireland?
I don't know. I've never been to a supermarket in Northern Ireland. So I can't conclusively say across the whole of the UK. Yes, in Great Britain, you can pick up Brewdog Dead Pony Club, which we suggest that you do.
Awesome.
Anyway, for another week, take it easy.
Ciao.
Oh, really? So the whole of Ireland?
Yeah, it's a British Isle. I bet that's contentious.
Ooh.